Now it has been a seemingly never-ending wait of 1,589 days, 38.136 hours living on previews, reports and nasty rumours. A little over 2,288,000 minutes spent asking yourself if Gran Turismo 4 will actually live up to the expectations. Finally, on a bright day in March 2005, we hit the power button on our PlayStation 2 with a reawakened enthusiasm. It's time to set off on the road to addiction once more with the king of driving games. GT4 is a must-have for car fans, but it is more than that. It is also the symbolic title in the world of video gaming. It is a universe that can seem quite obscure to non-gamers, yet it has become the #1 pastime in the world, ahead of cinema going. What we offer you today is a two-part test. The first part will be an educational journey to aid your general understanding before finding out what lies behind the new version of Gran Turismo. The second part will delve into the depths of this monster, which hides many pleasant surprises as well as shielding a few disappointments. While the arcade mode is available, it won't serve much purpose beyond racing a few friends to try out the new model. The central part of the game is very much the Gran Turismo mode. Just like in real life, before you can get behind the wheel, you have to get your license. There are 5 different licenses, each with 16 different tests. That makes for a total of 60 different tasks. Obtaining the different licenses allows you to get to grips with the game, as well as to win cars, with which you can enter the first races. You start your career with 10,000 credits. Just out of interest, if you compare the price of the cars in the game to what they cost in your local dealer, 1 credit works out to be worth around €1. So with 10,000 credits, you can get yourself a new car. For example, in our case, we chose to keep the little Lupo we gained from our first license test. So time to head for the Volkswagen dealership and get a turbo kit and a nitro tank, and then on to the first race in the Beginners' Championship. You receive money from each mini-championship, and if you win every race, you also get a prize car. With our Lupo, we can also take a look at the European Championship or head back to the dealer to see if he runs a Lupo Cup, for example. You have to build up your collection of vehicles very quickly. Many of the championships are very restrictive in terms of what car you can enter. It is a big plus point in GT4. You find championships, for example, where you can only enter cars that measure less than 3.4 meters in length, were built before 1970, have a center-mounted engine, or generate 500 brake horsepower in production form. With more than 700 cars available, finding the rare gem you are looking for can take hours. But there is great pleasure to be gained from traipsing around the dealerships and second-hand car markets in search of a reasonably priced vehicle that fits your precise criteria. It's a case of comparing notes, carefully studying the list and then buying. It is very unforgiving too, with instant autosaves. No better way to find out if you have made the good choice than to head for the track. Each GT4 player progresses differently, given the enormity of the game. For example, if you stay in the European Championship, you can take on the German Championship at the same time with your AMG CLK. At the end of that championship, you win the 92 DTM Mercedes, which you can then enter in another German Championship. At the end of that one, you win Schneider's 2000 DTM car. Powerful enough to go and take on Audi or Opel. If you then win all the DTM races, you receive the 1998 Le Mans CLK GTR, which is quite nice, really. It may seem rapid when you put it like that, but the game of Gran Turismo lasts for hundreds of hours. One example among many, a championship for historic cars. The 1,000-mile races, or Mille Miglia, the 25 laps of the Nürburgring long circuit, 95 laps of Paris Opera, 99 laps of Monaco, and then to finish 45 laps of the old Le Mans circuit. That's the one without the chicanes. This mini championship alone will take you more than 10 hours. All that to win a car you won't be able to use for anything. And add to the fact that you finished the race second in any of them, well, you'll have to start again. We expect this game to last for a very long time then. With a challenge mode, rally mode, endurance with real-time 24-hour racing, one-make championships, the more you get into this game, the more you realize just how long it's going to take to find everything. So it's time to dissect this beauty and find out what lies at its center, making it such a great game. We can already tell you that you'll need a fair amount of patience to get to the end of it. The game is produced by Polyphony Digital, and every last detail is covered extremely well. There is nothing bad to say about the way each vehicle is modeled. Kazunori Yamauchi and his team have done a great job on this one. Never has a game been so true to life, even with the massive 712 cars available for your garage. These wonderful cars offer an insight into the history of motoring. The major new feature of the game comes off-road though, with snow and ice tracks. 2 technical tracks are on offer, and you will need to be as good as 9 times ice racing champion to come out of this one as a winner. Your car slides all over the place. The driving technique requires you to be light on the right-hand pedal. Too much power and you'll find yourself in a mess with ice-covered rocks. The tracks are remarkably detailed. Despite constant glistening, we marvel at the details surrounding the ice routes. The sensations on the ice feel strangely similar to those on the gravel sections. It feels good, but as always, sliding is over-exaggerated. As a result, the off-road part of the game is not quite as successful or cohesive as the tarmac sections. As always, the presence of new tracks makes this section of the game well worth including. The environment has been optimized and the spectators well modeled. The dust particles are still not quite perfect, however. You will have realized by now that Gran Turismo is no longer the best game around for rallying. The presence of specialized competition has made sure of that. For example, Richard Burns Rally or the Colin McRae series. But these off-road tracks are available in a new game mode that is extremely demanding, Special Conditions. It consists of a series of challenges that will test your driving talents to the limit. There is no running along the walls or brushing into your opponents all the time here. If you do, there is an immediate penalty, your speed limited to 50 kilometers per hour for 5 seconds. This part of the game is very attractive for the way in which it forces you to apply a little finesse to your driving. There is also another game mode to explore, driving missions. Here you have to do anything you can to catch up the race leader. He starts with a 20 to 50 second head start as well. An expert driving talent is required to be successful in this game. Alongside the great graphics and the prolonged joy that comes with the amazing sensations of the cars on tarmac, it makes this game a real pleasure to play. The power of the cars is remarkably well replicated, as is oversteer and understeer. And the only little gripe we have is that the driver aids are a little too powerful and reduce the level of driving pleasure slightly, allowing mistakes at the wheel to be rectified a little too easily. Another big addition to the game is the B-Spec mode, which turns you into the boss of a racing team. You become a spectator at the races where your car takes part. Your role is to give orders to your driver. The choices are quite limited though. You can tell him to put his foot down, save the tyres and fuel, come into the pits to refuel. Essentially everything that Ross Brawn can do. Well, almost. If this mode seems a little dull at the beginning, it soon becomes addictive. You can speed up the races, which is handy for the endurance events, which can become a little tiring. A quick look over the possibility of immortalizing your achievements now. It is possible to take photos of your races during replays. 64 angles of view are on offer in each case. You can change the shutter speed, the amount of light, and essentially become a professional photographer. The results are very satisfying, and a nice touch is that you can transfer them to a PC using a USB key. GT4 is not perfect by any means though. The first area for criticism is the absence of an online mode, which in this day and age is inexcusable in the gaming world. The cars do not suffer any damage, which doesn't exactly encourage good driving standards on the track. The artificial intelligence is still just as rigid as ever and very easy to beat. The biggest faults in the game don't seem to have been corrected, which is a shame. The engine noises do not vary enough from one to the next either. The other sounds in the game are a little distracting when you were driving and don't help the on-road sensations. We would have preferred a little more subtlety to help better understand the behavior of the cars. GTR proves that this is possible to create a realistic sound experience. But do not be afraid, the supremacy of this game remains intact. 4 years of waiting have been worth it. After a few hours of play, the game comes into its own. If you're lucky enough to have a 900-degree force feedback steering wheel, you will reach a level of pleasure that you will find difficult to come down from. But just so that Sony has good warning, Gran Turismo 5 will have to be very, very good indeed to keep its #1 spot. Join us on the PlayStation 3 at the end of 2006 to find out. So that's it from this edition of 3D Motors. See you next time.